Contractor's journey to self-mastery requires discipline, integrity, and respect. Welcome to Hammer and Grind.
What's up, everybody? I'm your host, Brad Hebner, and I'm here with my co-host, Eric Triplett, and welcome to Hammer and Grind, the podcast built for contractors. Real contractors, true stories, real solutions. Hey, at the end of the show, we're going to ask you to do a favor for us and like and review our podcast, share it with some other contractors. And we want to remind you about our free Facebook group that we got going on, the Contractor Profit Group. There are tons of great conversations happening in there. Go check that out. And if you want to take your business to the next level and you're looking for some private coaching, check out our paid coaching group called the Profit Club. You can learn more about that at our website, hammerandgrind.com/the Profit Club. And on tonight's episode, we're going to have a special guest. Thomas Williams is our guest today. And Thomas, we are super excited you're here with us today. And we're going to be talking about something that I believe is important. And we are glad that you're here to discuss that with us.
The legend in the house. Thomas, we're so pumped to have you here. Well overdue. I just want to get this straight real quick. Thomas is an ambassador in the Profit Club. He's definitely an expert in the field of role playing and sales, and so it's going to be fun to talk to him about role playing tonight. I've done lots of role plays with Thomas. It's been real awkward, real exciting. Let's dig deep into this one. Hold on to your seats. Put on your seatbelt.
Thomas, why don't you start off? Tell us a little bit about yourself, your business, just kind of your general background.
No, man, I appreciate it. Glad to be here tonight. This is super pumped. Glad to be on the podcast. So my brother and I started our business in 2001. I was 18. I graduated high school in May and got my real estate license. He came to me in October, asked me, did I want to start a gutter business? And I put as much thought into it as, can we make money at it? And his answer was, yeah, we can make money at it. And so we started a gutter business, and that's been 20 years ago. This next month will be 20 years that we've been in business, and we evolved from just gutters to roofing and siding, windows, additions, that kind of thing, that eventually put us into a position where about 2013, 2014, we started a sister company where we're building houses as well. So that's kind of a 10,000 foot view of us.
Awesome. Well, what's the name of your two businesses you guys have?
Oh, yeah, I guess that's important, isn't it? So All American Exteriors is our remodeling company, and American Craftsman Homes is the building business. Nice.
Now, so you had no experience at all in construction, is that right?
Yeah, the only experience I had was when I started, I was in real estate, had worked for a real estate broker from the time I was 15 until I got my license, was selling real estate at 18. So I had a little bit of just sitting in a subdivision watching builders build experience, but actually no hands-on swinging a hammer, shooting a siding gun, anything like that, and still really, truly don't have a whole lot of experience with all of that. My specialties are more towards sales and marketing and running a business.
That's fantastic. So your specialties more business orientation, communicating with people, communications. I mean, communications and sales is like goes hand in hand, right? So that's interesting. So congratulations, you made it past 10 years. You know, most 96% of contractors fail in the first 10 years. So the fact that you made it through says a lot about it. So I want to be clear, like the real topic tonight. I mean, thank you for the 10,000 view of who you are and what you do. You're in Georgia, right?
That's right.
Yeah. Okay. I just want everyone, the viewers, to know, and the audience to know where you're from. Not that they can tell from your beautiful accent. But we're going to talk about the importance of role playing. What you talking about? Don't worry about it, sweetheart. No, I mean the importance of role playing in sales. You know what I mean? Like you made it through sales. This is gonna be a great topic because you actually were successful and made it through business past the 10-year mark. Like when was the first time you did a role play? You started in 2001, 18 years old. 2013, you started building houses, custom homes. You launched American Craftsman Homes. Like when was your first like sales role play? What
First
year was that?
play was March, April 2020, something along those lines.
Okay, so 19 years you started your business, and 19 years later you did your first role play. Like I want to know about that moment. Like, why did you even decide? Like, oh, okay, I'll start doing sales role plays. You already made it almost 20 years. You were already successful. You already had 2 businesses. Why start doing role plays 19 years later?
No, that's a fantastic question, Eric. So we did make it past 10 years. We were at a 19-year mark, but we were continuing to run this crazy contractor cycle, right? Where I was running from one customer lead to the next, windshield time all the time. I was exhausted. I didn't know like how much longer I could do this on my own. I mean, and not to say that I'm on my own, but I handle our remodeling side and my brother handles our new construction building side. So the sales for our remodeling business falls on me, and I'm spending hours upon hours upon hours driving to customers, getting to their home, doing a little song and dance, hoping and praying that they're going to choose us to go with their job, and getting the sale sometime and not getting the sale sometimes and not knowing why. And I think that's one of the most important things that I've learned is that there's a reason why you don't sell a job and there's a reason why you do sell a job. And if you don't know why, you might want to spend some time digging into a sales process that's going to help you have a better understanding of why you didn't get that job, why you did actually sell that job. Right, Eric?
Yeah, my mind's spinning right now. I know Brad wants to say something. Brad, just back me up on this. So this is so important because we're going to have people listen to this podcast that have been doing it for less time than you,
6
9
months.
years, 7 years, 11, 12, 14 years. And they're like, I'm really good at sales. I don't need it. 6 months, like all the spectrum, everything below 19 years. People are going to be like, hey, I got this thing figured out. I'm good at sales. I don't need to do this role play stuff. But it's so epic to know that you were successful, but you hit a wall. Why did it take 20 years for you to go like, I'm running around too much. I have babies now. I have a wife. I have a home I'm trying to build. There was a switch that clicked in your head and said, I need to get better at this. And role plays fell in your lap. And now like you're so good at what you do. It's astonishing.
Yeah. I mean, I think it was just a point of exhaustion. And I started searching. I come across, different sales books and different, Grant Cardone's and different people that I would dig and listen to audibles and was just because I was spending so much windshield time that I was just trying to learn and grow and get better and grow our bottom line. I mean, our top line was okay, but our bottom line was like, where is all of our money? Where did all of that money that we brought in, where did it go? So, those were conversations that were being had quite often, and I was just digging and trying to get better. And stumbled across, a system that teaches a repeatable system that can be trained to a team. And ultimately that's been my goal is I don't want to be a one-man show, a 5-man show. I want a team that works under me that makes the cogs turn. And something that I've read different books, the E-Myth books, to where you've got to have a standard operating procedure. You've got to have some SOPs that this is the way that we do it. This is the All-American Exteriors way, or this is the Team Handy way, or the Pond Digger way. We all have those, business mission statements, and we have the way that we do things, and we've got to get it in a way that it can be carried on down the line to where somebody can do it besides just me and just Eric and just Brad and just Drew and just different, all the different guys that are running businesses in our group. And when I stumbled across this sales process, it's a repeatable process that can be taught. And if you dig in, and here's the key, Brad and Eric, is if you put the time and the effort into the role plays to learn this and truly begin to get a grasp of what step 1, 2, 3, and 4 actually mean, then those role plays become to get easier and easier. And then the real life calls, they start to get easier and easier and more productive. And you're able to, start weeding out customers or potential leads that are not really your customer, to where you're not windshield time to every single lead that comes through the door, right?
Awesome. So there's a lot to unpack there, Thomas, and I want to talk about a couple things there. So it sounded like you said the main reason that you started looking for solution was out of frustration. I mean, you were just overwhelmed and tired, and you were just frustrated. Is that a fair statement?
Yeah, it's pretty spot on.
Awesome. And then you mentioned a couple other things. I mean, you mentioned Drew. Drew's one of our other ambassadors in the group, which we'll be having an interview with him in the future. But you also mentioned kind of the 4 steps. So you're basically, so the listeners out there know that we're talking about the profit sales system and the 4 steps of that. So the one thing you said, though, that I like that you said was that you wanted a system that was repeatable and that was kind of teachable. But what I would add to that is that it's a sales system that will deliver results too.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, I mean, that's critical, because if it doesn't deliver results, then
Absolutely.
what's the point in doing it, right?
So Eric, jump in on that. I know he had a lot to say. I mean, do you have any follow-up questions on that?
Yeah, I want to make sure that like I want to like crush some assumed knowledge here. Like, what is a role play? Let's talk about that for a second, because you might have young contractors got in here, don't know what a role play is. You might have other contractors in here that are like, yeah, I've played police officer with my wife in the bedroom role play. Like, no, like we're talking about sales role plays. Like, and how does this translate, and how does this make us better? Like a sales role play is basically replicating a live sales call with someone you're training with, being improvisational, and like kind of facilitating a real call, what it would be like Thomas and I, like, we're training together. I'm acting like a customer, he's acting like the contractor. I throw out an objection, he fields that objection, and then talks to me about it, and then I'm, as the client, go back and forth. And so, like, we have an opportunity to practice on each other of what that's like. And I want to make sure that we have an opportunity to say that. I just don't want to assume that everyone knows what a role play is, because it's important.
Yeah, and I think it's important too to say that role playing has been around for hundreds of years. Like, we didn't invent role playing, right? Corporate, it's more prevalent in corporate businesses, large companies that have sales teams, sales manager and sales teams. That's where they see a lot of the role playing. I know Grant Cardone even talks about that. I'm sure you read the book Sell or Be Sold.
Yep.
Thomas.
Yep, that was it.
Yeah, and I don't remember if he talked about that role playing in that book or not, but I know that Grant, I've seen videos of Grant talk about he's actually doing role playing like on a YouTube video or something with his team. So
Right.
role playing has been around forever. But we see a lot of people come into the group, and I know that Thomas, that you role play with just about everybody. But I think that people don't understand the power of the role play. They just don't. For one, they don't want to spend the time. Two, they're kind of embarrassed, right? They think they're going to screw up and make a fool out of themselves. And three, they don't really think it's effective. So, I mean, what do you speak to that and kind of those, what's your thoughts on role playing in general and how it's helped you in your business?
So one is don't want to take the time, right? And I can understand that, especially in the early beginning stages of, learning this process. I don't have time. I'm too busy. I'm in the middle of trying to quote 16 different estimates, and these customers are waiting on me, and I'm trying to decide which one to put on top priority because they may be the one that actually buys for me today. And I think we have to circle back around to one once we've talked about 2 and 3. And so 2 is embarrassed. They're afraid that they're going to, make themselves look like an idiot. And so this is something that I speak to a lot of people about, is that, Brad, wouldn't it be a lot better to stumble and make a mistake in a pretend scenario than it is to do it in real life, to where we've made a mistake in front of our customers? In that scenario with our customers, it cost us money. In the role play, it cost us, a couple of laughs, or we pause and we stop and we say, hey, I really didn't mean to say that. Can we run through that again? Can we figure out a better way of saying this? To the point that you get used to it. And I'm sorry, Brad, I'm going to have to ask you again what number 3 was.
No worries. They just think it doesn't work.
Doesn't work. So, I mean, until you try it, how can you say something doesn't work without giving it any type of effort at all? And I don't know how to have that argument with somebody. So I would challenge anyone who thinks that role playing doesn't work to put 10, 15 role plays in and then come have a conversation with me afterwards about it not working. And so then we come back to number 1 about not having the time. And so you get past 2 and 3, and then you really start seeing the effects of it changing your game with your customers. And then you really start going, man, why didn't these guys tell me? Brad, Eric, why didn't y'all have this conversation with me about this role play thing? And man, I've really got to dig into this, and I've got to start putting some time. I'm going to start time blocking, and I'm going to make sure that nobody's making appointments during these times, because this is so important that I've got to be on a role play with the Pond Digger, and I've got to be on a role play with Team Handy, and I've got to be on a role play with Kristen Bender and Drew Collins and Landon, and I have got to consume all of this information. And you get past that not having any time, because you got to have these role plays. Am I right?
Yeah, you're right. Two things right now. So first of all, I felt some excitement there, like because role plays, once you get you kind of get okay at it and like you get good at it, they actually become fun, like super fun. Like you look forward to them. Okay, so I sensed that excitement in you, which was really fun to watch unravel. But let's attack time. You had no time, and that you were so desperate that you wanted to lean into a system to save time, and then you devoted all the time to the training so you could have more time. Like, unravel that. Tell us about your time and how much it saved you and all that, and share some excitement. That was amazing.
Oh my goodness. I mean, it's night and day difference between where I was 18, 20, 22 months ago. As to my calendar was full. We literally just took every single phone call that came in and scheduled an appointment, and I was booked 3-4 on-site consultations is what we would call them now, but it was an estimate to go out to a customer's homes. It was 3. Oh yeah, I didn't know people charged for estimates.
You were probably scared shitless to say, hey, I'm charging to come out to your place. And the only way to overcome that total frightening moment is to like role play with Brad or Eric or Kristen and go like, hey, I actually need money to come to your house. And it sounded so weird coming out of your mouth, but the role play over and over and over again gave you this confidence, the tonality, the cadence, to make it come out right. So much to talk about.
Yeah, I mean, I'll talk too about the paid consultation, but I mean, now I don't go to a customer's house unless we're hashing out the details. We're signing a contract, collecting a deposit, and honestly, I don't want to go to a customer's house for an on-site consult. I don't want the $250, $500. I want the contract. I want to sign the deal, leave there with a 50% deposit. And so my time is so, far different than what it was. I have availability to work in my businesses, to actually review profit and loss, to look at something and go, why in the world did we lose this amount of money? Or why did we not make as much money as we should have? And we can review those and we can make better SOPs for other things. So I have more and more time to actually be a business owner instead of only focusing on producing jobs to be sold or sold jobs to be able to be produced, that kind of thing. And so, Eric, you were touching on the paid consultation, and I mean, this could get a little dicey here. I hope y'all are okay with me maybe stepping on a little ice.
Go for it.
But I don't really feel like that somebody should just headstrong jump into a real life customer call and break out the Eric, I'm going to need you to give me some money if you're going to want me to come out and actually give you an estimate. Because you could take a customer who is on the hook, they're ready to buy from you, and you say the paid consultation in the wrong way, because you haven't role played, you haven't practiced, you haven't done it in a way that it makes sense and you're comfortable with it, you could totally blow a sold deal by bringing up something that you haven't practiced. So I think, again, we're hitting on the importance of role plays here.
Well, Thomas, I can come out there and give you an estimate. That's not a problem, but we charge for estimates.
Listen, I gotta stop this for just a second because I really screwed up. I interrupted you, Thomas, because so many things are unraveling that I want to talk about that I interrupted you, and I really screwed.
Yes, you did. You did screw it up, Eric.
I did. I feel terrible about this. And
you
know why I know this? I know this because of all the countless hours I put in role playing. So if it's cool with you, Thomas, I want to backpedal just a little bit. Tell me about when role playing became exciting for you. It became exciting, like we totally glazed over that. You had all this excitement, like you were. I want to do more role plays. Tell us about that.
The wheels started really kicking after 30, 40, 50 role plays. It didn't. It was just I'm doing this because they have told me this is what I'm supposed to do. I'm saying these words because this is the word tracks that I have been given to respond to these potential customers, and I don't know what I'm doing. Like 30, 40, 50 points, I didn't know why I was doing what I was doing. And, part of that was I wasn't investing enough time in the role plays to make notes. I was not, I was scared. I mean, like I was worried that I was going to ask the wrong question. I was going to ask the same question twice. Somebody was going to give me an answer and I was going to ask the question again. And so I came up with a method that worked for me. And I think it's important that whatever the method is that works for you, you use it. If it's my method, if it's something that Brad has, Eric has, Drew, anybody, I think that it's important that you follow a process, follow a way of doing a call, a role play. You keep them consistent. You do them the same. I mean, even as far as, we're here in our offices, and if you're doing your role plays in your office, you should do your live calls with your customers in your office. And I'm sorry, Eric, I'm digressing away from your question. Your question was, when did I get excited? And excitement started when it started clicking for me, and I started spending that 40, 50 role play mark. And then, then it got to be where I was role playing with Eric because he was pushing me to get 200 role plays in. And I was role playing with Brad, and I was role playing 15, 16 times in a week. And that's when it got interesting.
I want to know about like the time savings. So like you didn't have time. So you were like, hey, I'm going to start role playing and spend a bunch of time doing this. How much time has it saved you in your life and allowed you to spend time with your family? I really want to touch on that because that's important to me.
Goodness, I would say 20 hours a week, if not more.
That's crazy. I mean, that's an insane number.
It's a number that seems to be common with people that really dive into the process. It seems to be a common number where people go, I'm saving 20 hours a week of my life, whether they're, either having more time for their business or whether they're having more time for their family or for their personal self or their fitness or whatever they are. Most people that I talk to about, once they figure out, how to manage their clients through sales via spending time with role plays, they end up saving 20 hours. It's amazing.
I wanted to follow up on what you said, Thomas, earlier about the, but basically when it becomes fun is that once you get comfortable enough and you get confident in your, sales ability, it's fun to start trying different things, right? It's fun to try a different word track here, place it here, say, do something differently. It's fun to talk to different personalities. One of the great things that that we do in our group is we have different personality profiles. If you're familiar with the DISC profiles, and so a lot of people are having trouble talking to D personalities, or they may have trouble talking to C personality. Whatever it is, you're able to, if that's your weakness, you're able to find someone in the group and actually role play with them in that personality style and get better with those types of people. I know there's lots of times I love when I'm playing the customer to throw curveballs. If someone's making an assumption about something, I'll throw a curveball in and have fun with it. And then at the end of the call, it's like, oh man, you got me on that. I knew I shouldn't have assumed that thing, and I knew as soon as I said it, you were going to catch me. And so it's just, you can have fun with it that way too.
Yep, absolutely.
So we keep talking about number of role plays like a tracker, So this is important. I mean, role plays, like, how do you role play? Who do you get involved with? How do you make this happen? So like, this could be a shameless plug, but in the Profit Club, we have a tracker and we track stuff, right? Like how many role plays you have as a client, a contractor, and then that's a metric of what you are watching so you can become better. And so I remember, when I first started role playing and trying different word tracks, and then I would get on a live call, I'd feel good about this new word track, and I'd get on a live call and I'd say word track, and my wife would be sitting next to me, and she'd double take me. She'd look and go who are you and what did you do with my husband? I've never heard that come out of your mouth before. That was real aha moment for me. And so I want to hear about an aha moment for you, Thomas. And I remember seeing someone real special in you in role plays at about 100, and on the tracker around 100. I was like, this dude's special. Something's going on with him, and I really wanted to get into more phone calls with you and training.
So, I mean, one of the aha moments that I remember that sticks out a lot to me is you and I had a role play, Eric and I had a role play, and we had an awkward conversation. And I said, Eric, I'd much rather have this awkward conversation with you here than to get out to your home and start having that awkward conversation and us really not be comfortable. And you latched onto it. I mean, it was something that literally just came out of my mouth. Like, I didn't even know where it came from, if I had ever even heard it before, if it was just something that I made up. And you loved it. And it really kind of boosted me to dig deep into that awkward conversation. And that's one of my favorite word tracks to this date now.
So I use it all the time. And see, this is the brilliance about role playing. So you had done 100 role plays. And like, if like, I'm just going to give perspective to client, to people listening, to audience. It's like, if you've done 100 role plays, it's about 100 hours of time. It's work. I mean, it's not easy shit. This is work. So you had about 100 hours into it. And then something amazing happened. You just started being yourself in the process. Like, the words started coming out of your mouth. It was just natural. It wasn't, hey, try this word track. Hey, let's say go off the record. Hey, let's say this, that, the other. You just naturally said, hey, Eric, is it okay if we just have this awkward conversation? You ask me permission. I say yes, and you go into it. Just as something natural came out. And Thomas showed up in the sales process as an original word track person, and that was amazing to me.
Yeah, Eric, I know one thing, that anytime someone starts the process, and it's the same with it doesn't matter what you learn. When you're learning something new, it's always that awkwardness of trying to figure it out, right? So when you first start, you sound like a robot. Like, how are you hoping we can help you? And then and then it kind of gradually gets better, and then you start memorizing some of the word tracks, and then you start to put the stuff together, and then it all comes naturally, and you kind of get to that unconscious competence where you're not even really thinking about it, and it's just flowing out of your mouth. And that whole transformation is pretty awesome, to go from where you really had no idea what you're doing to being kind of a sales slayer, if you will. But I want you to, Thomas, I want you to speak to those out there that are just kind of like, the whole idea of role playing sounds silly. Like, what do you say to people like that?
It worked for Eric in flipping California. I mean, it's got to work for all the other areas in between, right?
I would agree with that. Yeah, for sure.
Tell us about Tiffany and how she took it. You're like, hey, I'm going to join this group. I'm actually going to pay money. I'm going to start investing in sales. I'm trying to create more time. And, oh yeah, by the way, I got to do these improvisational fake role play replicate sales calls. And how did that look?
Yeah. So most of my role plays were being done during the day. I would block off time during my calendar, and I might have 3 phone calls with a real customer and 3 phone calls with a contractor in the group, and have a role play. And so I avoided doing them after hours because I was afraid of what she was going to say. Like, why are you taking away from our family? Why are you, you already don't have enough time with the kids, and it's dinner time, and all of those things. And eventually I started the more I put into it, the more effort I invested in this, the more time I spent on role plays, the more fruits I started seeing in my real life sales process with my real life customers, to the point that I finally started having a conversation with her, and I started telling her, hey, I really think this stuff is working. And I really think that I need to start spending some more time, and it may take some time after hours, that I need to actually role play with some of these guys like Eric Triplett, who's on the Pacific Coast. And I need to be able to do this at not just 9 to 5. And when I started changing our sales process, so back up to 2019, we did around $900,000 in sales in 2019. And in 2020, we did 1.25 $1.25 million from 19 to 2020. And then by the end of May this year, we had surpassed what we did in 2020. So the fruits are starting to bear, and the effort that I've put into this and the time that I've taken away from family, it gives me more time to invest in my family at different times. There's some effort that has to be put into this. I mean, we're doing this at, dark 30 to have this conversation, but we're doing this because we want to help other contractors. Because I'm a little bit selfish, guys. And I say this pretty often. I've found, since I was a young child, my dad taught me that when I'm helping other people, I'm actually helping myself. So I think that's the reason why we take the time that we do to invest in the contractors that are in the group, because we see where we were years ago, and we see the potential that everybody else has, and we want to help them see that, fruition of potential, right?
For sure. But I want to be clear on something. How is it quantifiable to the audience that those numbers are a direct response from your role plays? So right? So is it because you have 20 extra hours a week that you're spending in the business, or is it because you're communicating better with the clients? Is it just because COVID and contractors are busy, or is it because what you've learned has translated to time and money?
All of the above. But I'd have to say that, honestly, if I hadn't learned a process to where I could have a conversation over the phone with a customer when COVID hit, I'd have been lost. I mean, we probably would have, unfortunately, just shut our doors, because I wouldn't have known what to do. Zoom calls, I mean, that was brand new to us. But fortunately, we had some time invested into actual phone calls, to where we were having these conversations with customers, pre-qualifying before, do we want to go out to a customer's home? Does a customer want us to even come into their home? We now need to wear masks and gloves and booties and all of that kind of stuff. That takes even more time and resources and effort. So I have to speak to that honestly, I feel like that if I hadn't learned this system when I did, that it would probably have killed us. Can I communicate more and better with my customers? Absolutely. Can I ask the right questions at the right times? And that is solely because of the profit sales system, the ability to take a statement where I want to toot my horn, and instead of doing that, I take it and turn it into a question, and then it becomes the customer's idea at that point, right? I mean, all of these things, I could sit here until I was blue in the face and try to get you and Brad to believe me and understand it. But ultimately, you've got to dig into this your own and figure this out on your own. to be able to believe this, right?
Absolutely, Thomas. And would you say that with all you've done hundreds and hundreds of role plays. Would you say that you can pretty much have any conversation with anybody? I mean, do you have that level of confidence that you could have just about any conversation with any person?
No doubt. Difficult, easy, awkward, uncomfortable conversations that you have to have with your existing customers, things that come up in the middle of the job that nobody knew about, that normally, or not normally, but years ago you would just eat and say, well, how can I have this difficult conversation with this customer and tell them that they're going to have to pay me $5,000 more than what we expected before?
Okay, so since I screwed up earlier in the podcast and interrupted you and threw the whole groove off, I do want to touch on the fact that prior to understanding profit sales systems and the understanding how to talk to people and role playing word tracks to people, you were running around to people's houses, giving free consultations, free estimates at people's homes, and then you've transitioned to being able to tell people, hey, I need $500 to come to your house. And so that's a game changer. And I want people to understand that, because while some of our audience, they already kind of do that, maybe dabble at $50, $75. Like you command a high dollar to come out to someone's home, and you didn't do that before, but now the system and the role playing has allowed you to feel super confident in that. Tell us how that has affected your whole business and game plan in your life.
It's still there or not, but I don't want the on-site consultation charge. I want to go out and sign a contract with a customer. And the consultation charge is there just to, there's multiple reasons for it, right? But it's to protect our time and make sure that if I've went out there and I've detailed the work and I've put the effort in to give you a detailed proposal and ultimately a detailed contract, and the wheels fall off this, and for whatever reason you're not comfortable and you just I get it, you decide to change your mind, there's going to be a charge for that. Are you going to be comfortable with that, Eric?
It takes role plays to be able to come off smoothly like that, for sure. And so it's just cool to know that you're able to do that so confidently, so calmly, so smoothly, and to be able to command that kind of money for a service call, whether they go or not. It's cool because it just weeds out the people, whether they're serious or not, right away. One thing I want to make sure that was really evident to me, but maybe not to everyone else, was that when you were giving free estimates and free consultations, people fell to the bottom of the list. And that's one of the reasons why contractors get a bad rap, because he didn't call me back. I haven't heard from him in a month or two. It's because by not charging for your time, for the consultation, for the estimate, for the work that you put in to go out to the place, the contractor is put in this really tough position to be like, have to chase the ones that are most important because I'm doing it all for free. And so they have to gauge that time against their family and their expenses and their fitness and their all that stuff, right? So by actually charging for your time, you actually make contractors look better than by doing this shit for free. It's a really interesting nuance that you pointed out, but I just wanted to make sure everyone caught. So listen, we're running long. I just want to just double check with you, Brad. Is there anything that you want to touch on, or Thomas, you want to talk about that you want to remind people, like what it means to role play and how important it is?
I don't have any other questions, Eric. I'm just super thankful, Thomas, that you joined us and shared your knowledge with us. You are, as we mentioned earlier on, Thomas is one of our ambassadors in the Profit Club. And so Thomas, one of his main focuses is on role playing and helping other contractors step up their sales game. So if you join the Profit Club, you're going to be talking with Thomas probably quite a bit. And again, Thomas, just appreciate you being on here tonight.
Let me just tell everyone, all the listeners right now, that Thomas's involvement in the Prophet Club is really second to none. He's really outrageous on this. He is an ambassador for a very prominent reason. He's involved in what we call our roll-off. And every Thursday night we have a roll-off, and we have like a live demonstration in the group, and we do live role plays. And then at the end of the role play, one of our ambassadors, either Drew or Thomas, will actually get in and give you some critique and evaluation. And that's one of the things that makes people nervous. Like, I don't want people to criticize me, but like constructive criticism is what helps make everyone stronger. And Thomas is involved in that every week. And even on weeks when he's not the host, he's in there, he's giving advice, he's in the chat room, and he's always reachable. So Thomas is amazing for that, and we want to thank you for that. So unless you guys have anything else you want to say, I'm just going to wrap us out of here. Thank you so much, everyone, for spending time with us on the podcast tonight. I hope you enjoyed it as much as we enjoyed recording this podcast. We hope you catch you on the inside of the Prophet Club and do some live role plays with Brad, Drew, myself, or the legend, Thomas Williams.